Hello everyone, welcome to our latest podcast with Emel Topçu, who is a professor of social and political sciences from Turkey. She has taught at several different universities and has lived in many different countries, such as Bosnia and Herzegovina, Germany and India, becoming a professional of migration and interculturality. She has a broad view of cultural differences and a sensibility towards people. Emel is now helping Syrian refugees in Turkey. She encourages intercultural and interreligious dialogue and peacemaking. Hi, Emel. Thank you for accepting our invitation to our podcast.
Thank you very much for inviting me to your podcast. I'm Emel Topçu, as you say. I'm an academician. I have been teaching in political science. My majors is especially migration, leadership, and women's studies and intercultural learning. In this area, I am specialized. I have been teaching in Turkey at Hasan Kalyoncu University, and I lived in so many different countries, just like India, United States, Germany, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Turkey for a long time, at least 1 year or longer. And I traveled in so many other countries, and I was involved in so many international projects. Through these projects, I also traveled to other countries. Why do I say all these things? Because I have encountered so many different cultures, different religions, and it made envision my understanding towards life, and especially the life of the women. It was important for me. I also the understanding of the minorities, their position, how do they feel. When I was living in other countries, I was also belonging to the minorities. I'm a Muslim woman. I use headscarf.
What types of discrimination have you experienced?
If you are migrant and if you are women and if you use a headscarf, you are discriminated triple time more than the women who lives in that country. When I was living in my country, I faced also discrimination. Since my childhood, I'm vegetarian, and I'm now 65, and think about it, before 60 years, a child is vegetarian. Nobody understands this. Nobody. And it was out of vision. And they have forced me to eat meat, and they have tried to convince me to eat meat. Sometimes they made fun of me. It would be enough for me not to eat anything or eat only salad. Let me in peace, but they were insisting. And this was my first discrimination in my life, and I understood what does it mean. And then later on, when I was 19, I have decided to be religious, and I have started to use my headscarf, and then again bigger amount of discrimination has started. This was coming from the state, and I was not allowed to study, I was not allowed to work. Okay, I have managed somehow. At that time there was no regulation, no law justification, and I found a way to study and somehow work, but it was more and more difficult. When state discriminates you, then there is a structural discrimination. Somehow people also joins to that discrimination. Sometimes it was not so easy to travel in public transportation. When you make a small, tiny mistakes, for example, you touched somebody, and then there was a big fight and accusation. I used the headscarf. I was the scapegoat in the bus. Every time I was afraid that I would face up such kind of accusation and such kind of inconvenient condition. And because of this, you have to be very careful, and you have to control every room that you run in. And if there will be some discrimination, or if there are some people that who feel themselves bad and discriminated. By that way, now I'm really extreme sensitive. When I go to somewhere, I know who feels herself or himself not well in this room, and I try to go to that people and let them feel in a little bit better. Yeah, these are the discrimination stories, and being a woman also brings you so many discriminations. There's a kind of power relationship between men and women, and in the society also you are starting to life when you are a girl, you start one step lower than the man, your siblings, male siblings. And in my family it was not so extreme, especially my father supported us to study, and it was good. But I had also feeling that my brother was privileged. You feel it. And I have studied. That was very good. They have supported me. Because of this study opportunity, I could travel and I could really learn a lot from the world. This opportunity gave me or open me and other opportunities. That's why I'm thankful. There are so many women, millions women in the world. They do not have this chance. That's why I'm trying to open somehow some doors for them as well. And in all of my life, wherever I go, I start to be in contact with the people that with the same understanding, just like me, who are working against discrimination, or bringing the people from different cultures or from different religions together. Especially in Germany, I stayed for a long time and I worked in that area. Integration, multiculturalism, and I was running from one conference to another, or podiums discussion, even though it was very heavy for me, and I was running from one project to another. And I think I did my best. Maybe I will not reach a peace in all over the world, but I can at least do something. That was important for me. And that's why I do not miss any possibility doing a peace work or backing a person that who is discriminated, unprivileged, in minority. I try my best from that point. What I achieve, I don't know. It is not important also for me.
What was your situation after moving back to Turkey?
I worked a lot in Germany, and I moved back to Turkey, and I have started to work at the university. In 2011, as you know, there were a war in Syria, and so many people have started to migrate. Turkey, Jordan, Lebanon. They came, and Turkey thought that it will not be a huge amount of people. In the beginning, they put themselves as 100,000 people. At the end, we have ended up with 5 million refugees from Syria, and it was over Turkey's capacity. Turkey is not a migration country just like Germany. That's why we do not have plans or structures to accommodate all these people. But I find it very good that Turkey opened the door, because there were war in the Syria. Instead of these people die or face the folter or torture, they came here. At least they are survived. And they are scattered in so many cities, especially the cities on the border. In some cities, there are more than 25%. There is one city that on the border of Syria, direct on the border of Syria, and it is also our neighboring city, named as Kilis. In that city, there are 110,000 Syrian people and 90,000 inhabitants. There are more Syrian than the inhabitants. But still, they found a way, without having a big conflict or big crash between these two group of people, they managed it. Okay, we could not have offered in Turkey, we could not have offered them possibilities just like in European countries. I know Germany. Germany really offers some high standards possibilities for the migrants, and they have rights, and we could not offer them this, but they had rights to send their children to the school, and for housing, and for working, and for free hospitals. All these things were somehow okay and acceptable. But since I was also teaching in that region, I have immediately started with the Syrian women. And I have established a group of women, half from Turkey and half from Syria. And I worked with a methodology from Frigga Haug. Frigga Haug is a German sociologist, and she has developed a methodology of memory work. And I applied this methodology.
What is your engagement with EPIL and when did it start?
I'm involved in EPIL project. It is a European project for interreligious learning. Since the beginning, means since 2002, means 20 years. I have been involved in this project and I learned a lot. In this 20 years, I met so many powerful women, and they emphasize on dialogue, they make peace work, and I'm connected with so many women. And I have again, through this project, I have visited so many countries, and I build a real friendship. For example, when I travel to some country, and I have friends from EPIL, sometimes even I stay with them in their flat. It is really very valuable, and they are also welcome with me in Turkey.
Have you taken action yourself in some form of project inspired by your engagement with EPIL?
I established a project based on this dialogue, that what I have learned from EPIL project and Frigga Haug memory project. And how ran this project? We have divided each session according to the ages. For example, in the first session, we talked about being a girl in our family and in our society between the age of 0 and 7. And in the next session, we talked about again being a girl between the 7 and 14. And then on the next session, we talked about between 14 and 21, and then after 21 means in social life and in work life. And it came out that between 0 and 7, our remembrance were very less, and we could not differentiate it. We thought that it is normal what happens. And somehow, especially the grandfathers were very good with the girls, and they did something together, and they teach them something. Most of them had a very good memory with grandfathers. That was good. But after 7, it changed. There were some kind of gender roles. The women, especially the girls, are lead to that gender roles. They were overwhelmingly with their mother and at home, and they taught some households. And they are discriminated against their brothers. And they, in that period, they had some memory that it hurts them because of this discrimination. And it was also interesting that Turkish and Syrian women both had almost the same kind of experiences. It was important. And Turkish women thought that since we had really in the Republic, in Turkish Republic, we had our rights very earlier than so many European countries. For example, in Switzerland, they got voting rights in 1974. In Turkey, we got it in 1934, 40 years before. And such kind of things also gave the women kind of self-esteem. They have rights.
What does the reality of women look like in Turkey and Syria truly?
You can have rights in the law, but the application in the society, this is important. And most of the Turkish women got married as they were 16, before they did not tell it, because it was somehow embarrassment for them to be married at the age of 16. And then when you are married in Turkey, this is tradition that you should not study anymore, you should not go to the school anymore. And they stopped their education. But what did they do? It was very strong of them. After raising their children in a certain age, they have started to continue their education. Some of them doing even their PhD, but for the cost of their comfort. They have started to sleep less, a little bit less rest, and after completing all their duties at house, for example, cooking for the children, cleaning, ironing, after doing all these things in a perfect way, after it means after 11 or 12 o'clock, they have started to study, to learn. And they were sleeping around 4 hours, something like this. On the other side, in Syria, polygamy is allowed, and the children, especially the girls, can be married after 14 when they are. This is officially accepted. And in Turkey, it is not. But still, with the exercise, they have done it. Even if it was not allowed. But in Syria, it was allowed, and so many women in Syria got married at the age of 16 in our group, but they were allowed to continue their study, and they were not forced to do households. This was really, and Turkish women were really surprised as they heard this. And they also finished their university education, the Syrian women who joined to our program, and Turkish women as well. But Turkish women were less privileged in their whole life. And you should not have prejudice against anybody. You have to understand. This was also, again, a new understanding about not having prejudice, and try first to understand.
Thank you. Thank you for telling all those stories. You mentioned a lot of interesting issues and topics. You also mentioned the male-female relationship, prejudice, imbalances.
Yeah.
I would like to go back to that. And we, not too long ago, heard from you in one of your presentations that sometimes men respond with cynicism to what women propose or to whatever ideas women have. How should we react to that?
Yeah, this is really very difficult. My reaction also differs from condition to condition. I gave an example in that speech that I was a keynote speaker in an international conference, and I hold a speech about the prospects of female leadership and policy making, and it was quite academic. I put so many inputs about the academic research, and my speech was long because I was a keynote speaker. It took almost 50 minutes, and generally all audience were very happy with my speech, and the speaker who are male and come to talk, and they have also reacted to my speech, and they have acted so that they appreciate my speech, but somehow they were also cynical. This happens in an international conference, in a very high level conference, and it continues in daily life in the university. Somehow our students, male students, have less respect to the female professor than the male professor. They think that male professor knows better, and with the male, in the university, the percentage of the female professors are 30 to 60. They are double, and they organize the things, or they decide the things under themselves. You even do not know what is going on, and after a while you are informed. When there is some possibilities, opportunities, they use it, and you even do not hear about it. Such kind of things are happening. Or getting a higher position, being a dean or being a rector, is really very rare. Okay, I ran as a dean in one international university. It was International University of Sarajevo. That university was somehow really gender balanced, and in our university there were 5 faculties and 3 women, female dean, and 2 male dean. It was extraordinary, but they had never ever a female rector. This is the highest position, and it is also valid. In Turkey also there are very rare female rectors, and most of the universities have male rectors, and in all over the face of the life we have this gender unbalance, and also gender pay gap. Okay, not in the universities, but in so many other organizations. This is this is statistically proven. And in Europe, in United States, in all over the world, women are earning 20% less than men. For example, when the woman is paid 80%, men are paid 100%. If you ask me how can we solve this problem, it is so deep-rooted. It is not so easy to solve at once. But what I have done, if you ask me, I raised my son in a way that he has a feeling high respect to the females, and he has understanding of the power relationship between men and women. One time we were in restaurant in Turkey, my son and myself, and we ordered something. Waiter came and I have ordered something, and my son ordered something. He brought and he misunderstood what I ordered. And I told I didn't want this. And he didn't talk to me. He was talking to my son. He was saying, should I bring the new one? But this is in Turkey, and somehow I didn't take him so serious. But my son, what kind of macho behavior he has? He told me. My son noticed, and I was very happy, really very happy that my son noticed it and underlined it. In his normal life also, he is really very respectful to his sister and to me, to other women. And this can be my achievement, really, in this life. And this is valuable. We as women, we have to do this. When every woman take care of this, after maybe 50 years, we can change something.
Is there a personal story or any story that you would like to, or you wouldn't mind sharing with us and our audience?
Actually, in the world, statistics says that in every society, most of the women face at least one time violence from their male partner. Or sometimes it happens in the same gender couples as well. I think even that numbers are not correct. If you ask me, with my experiences, because I got divorced from my husband in Turkey, it was also long before 40 years, because of violence that he has exercised with me. Okay, it was not a big violence, and I have stopped him immediately. Immediately I stopped him, and I didn't continue anymore this marriage. I understood that when one man exercises only one time a violence, it means that there is something, and you should not continue this relationship. And I have acted on that understanding, and I stopped the marriage. And I was not ashamed telling that I'm divorced, and I told everybody. It was actually an act that you have to be proud of, a woman, because it shows your courageous, your strength, and your decision-making ability, all these things. And especially in the traditional society, generally society are not backing the woman. They are trying to gossip the woman about maybe she is not a good woman, that's why she got divorced. Sometimes some kind of gossipings. I had courage to tell people openly that I'm divorced, and I have decided to divorce. And at that time I was working as teacher, and sometimes when I was alone in the teacher's room, and so many my colleagues came to me and explained domestic violence that they are facing. Openly, nobody would never ever talk about it, since they thought that I was the one who had courage to tell that I'm divorced. When you are divorced, it means that there is a problem. And they had courage to talk to me about their problem. I can say 80% of the female colleagues told this. When it is the case, most probably most of them didn't talk to me. Also, they wanted to keep it by themselves. And even they are not aware of the definition of violence, because when your husband wants to control you, your relationship with your friends, and want to ban you to meet with your friends, or want to control your finance, or want to take your money or your salary from you, and these are all violence. And people do not consider all these things as violence. Everything is violence, and they can also apply psychological violence. And when we are aware of all these things, and when we are courageous, stop them, and something will start to move, actually. And we have to also, that's why I tell my story to the people quite openly, that I did it, and give them some kind of courage to decide about your handicapped situation, if they really are facing the violence, any kind of violence, and maybe they can continue. It is their things, their matter, their problem. I cannot say anything. At least they have to be aware of the situation, that in what condition they are. At least they have to be aware of this. And if they want to continue, they have to be their choices, not that community or society or their husband or their family force them to do it. That is important for me.
What do you do to prevent violence, and what do we do to keep a peaceful environment?
To prevent violence, you have to be peaceful in yourself. If you are not peaceful, you cannot do anything. And we give signal to the outside how we feel, and everybody notices it. That's why we have to go in first and work in ourselves to be peaceful, or to come out of our traumas in a peaceful way. Everybody is traumatized in any way, and we have to accept it, we have to underline it, and we have to work on it. And to keep the peace in our environment, I think this is also, when we are peaceful, I think we act to the others also in a peaceful manner. We will not provoke them, or we will understand them, and maybe we will understand their problem, and we will handle them in a very gentle way. If we have in a kind of condition that we can organize solidarity with other people who have the same aim, organize workshops and awareness raising. We have to be active more and more, and to reach out more people. I think I would do on that way, which I'm also doing. I try to reach out to people and talk to them, come into the conversation.
And you're doing a great work. Thank you, Amar, for accepting our invitation and taking your time.
Thank you very much.